Here are the most horrifying moments when animals killed humans, starting with the unexpected and escalating into the utterly unbelievable. Number 8. Sea's Deadly Surprise. Ever heard of a guy who could high-five crocodiles? That's Steve Irwin, the legend who made khaki cool and crocs behave like puppies. But on September 4, 2006, Steve swapped his croc wrestling for the deep blue sea, meeting an unexpected twist. It wasn't a crocodile that did him in, but a stingray, of all things. Fans everywhere were shocked. Wait, what? A stingray? Let's rewind to that day. Steve and his crew, all geared up for their new show, Ocean's Deadliest, found themselves in a weather pickle at the Great Barrier Reef. Who knew Mother Nature could throw such a curveball? The sea was throwing a stormy tantrum and their plans for filming tiger sharks got dunked. But hey, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Or if you're Steve, you dive into the ocean with a hearty, challenge accepted. Dressed in his iconic khaki, Steve jumps onto an inflatable boat with his cameraman, Justin Lyons, and heads for an impromptu swim. It's like they say, when the going gets tough, the tough go diving. And there they spotted an 8-foot stingray chilling like a boss. But could anyone have predicted what happened next? Stingrays, typically the zen masters of the sea, all cool and calm, can surprise when disturbed. As Steve and the crew wade closer, it's like a red carpet event with the stingray as the star. Lights, camera, action. Now here's where things get a bit, well, spiky. Steve, floating above the stingray, casts a shadow, and Mr. Stingray, likely mistaking him for a predator shark, decides it's time for some action. Suddenly, it's like a scene from an underwater thriller, with the stingray going all ninja on Steve. Rather than fleeing, the stingray took a defensive stance, rapidly unleashing a flurry of jabs with its tail directly at Irwin's chest. Living life boldly, Steve had a golden rule: the show must go on. Cameras rolling no matter what. Even amid the chaos, he gestured to keep filming, probably thinking, this'll make for one heck of a behind-the-scenes story. And Lyons, caught off guard, stammered, but... Steve, ever the optimist, brushed it off with a, it's just a long night. If only it were that simple. Turns out the stingray's barb had hit the jackpot, a 2-inch tear right in Steve's heart. What followed was a dramatic outpouring of blood, turning the ocean into a vast crimson canvas surrounding him. Back on the boat, the crew shifted from filming to frantic life-saving medics. Amidst the turmoil, a crew member pressed a steady hand against the bleeding wound, while Lyons, a voice of courage, desperately urged him to hang on for the kids. In a chilling moment, Steve, with an eerie calmness, uttered his final words, "I'm dying," cutting through the panic with a weight of a final scene no one saw coming, marking an unforgettable chapter in the saga of the Crocodile Hunter. Steve Irwin's legacy lives on beyond tragedy. His family champions wildlife conservation, embodying his spirit through, crikey, it's the Irwins, keeping the Crocodile Hunter's passion alive and vibrant. Number 7. Teen Surfer's Final Wave. On December 16, 2004, West Beach in Adelaide hosted not just surfers and sunbathers, but a grim narrative that would ripple through the surfing community. A shark decided to crash the party, turning a regular day into a scene straight out of a horror flick. Nick Peterson, 18, and amazing at surfing, along with his trio of friends who loved thrills, set out to conquer the sea with nothing but a dinghy and dreams bigger than waves themselves. They were like, let's conquer the waves, but the ocean had other plans, with its top predator ready to crash the party. As they sailed out, surfboards in tow, they were oozing so much confidence. You'd think they were the kings of the sea. Nick, the star surfer, hopped on his board. "Toss me the board, guys," he said, all chilled, probably thinking, what's the worst that could happen? Famous last words, right? Then a shadow danced below, mistaken for a dolphin by the crew, who were used to the sea's playful residents. But this was no friendly mammal. It was more of a Bruce from Finding Nemo, only less animated and far more real. Yes, you guessed it, a shark. It turned their adventure into its own version of Snack Time, starring Nick in a role he never auditioned for. As Nick played a lethal game of sea tug-and-war, with his left arm caught in the shark's grip, his mates tried to fend off the aquatic enemy with oars. Panic mode activated. "That's no flipper, mate. It's got teeth." Oi Bruce, pick on someone your own size. With these oars, might as well be using spaghetti. What's the plan then? Bigger oars? Or maybe just a bigger boat? But let's face it, their oars were about as effective as using a feather to fight a lion. The shark, unbothered by their attempts, continued its assault. Tragically, the shark claimed victory and poor Nick was lost to the sea, leaving his mates emotionally shipwrecked on the shore. Could this be nature's way of reminding us who's really in charge? Nick's surfboard washed ashore as if the ocean itself mourned. The Rangers swooped in and recovered his remains, marking the haunting reminder of the seaside tragedy. Fast forward to the next day, the once vibrant West Beach morphed into a ghost town. Surfing was out, and suddenly the less risky pursuit of oyster collecting seemed like the next big thrill, because apparently oysters are much less likely to turn you into their lunch. Number 6. Snail hunt turns fatal. In the unexpected twist of 2020, Kuching, Malaysia added its own eerie chapter. What started as a peaceful riverbank scene quickly changed into a setting for a chilling encounter between a 14-year-old boy, Ricky, and a 14-foot crocodile. Well, quite a match, don't you think? Both sharing the number 14, but with the croc towering 5 times Ricky's size. So how did Ricky find himself in this scary situation, you wonder? Let's look back to the once serene beach of Kuching. Ricky Ganya, full of life and looking for fun, went on what seemed like a harmless search for snails, joined by 3 friends and an unsuspecting ant. Stay together, kids! Okay, Auntie! The kids looked around the muddy shores, armed with nothing but empty buckets and a bit of reckless courage. Suddenly, Ricky saw a snail washed ashore. He ran to the amazing find, and guess what? There were so many snails deep in the shallows. Could this day get any better? Ricky must have thought, oblivious to the lurking danger. He looked back, calling his pals to join him. Oh boy, that was the moment, when a huge crocodile emerged from the murky depths, eyeing Ricky's ankle with hunger. His aunt was the first one who noticed the croc approaching Ricky, but before she could process the danger, the predator zeroed in on Ricky, swiftly ensnaring him by the ankle and dragging him into the depths. The ant from her bench suddenly went from a relaxed guardian to trying desperately to save him. But could anyone really save him now? As hope faded, the emergency team arrived, not with high-tech equipment, but with a plan so strange it just might work. Their grand strategy? Lure the crocodile with a chicken doing a dance. Yes, you heard it right. A chicken, because, well, crocs can't resist a yummy chicken dinner, it seems. With a brave chicken leading the way, the Rangers tried to lure the hidden crocodile, now 3 miles downstream, hoping to save Ricky. But fate had other plans. When the crocodile finally emerged, a harrowing sight awaited them. Within the depths of his stomach were human remains, marking a tragic conclusion to what started as an innocent adventure in search of snails. The grappling mishap echoed a haunting reminder. When you're exploring the beach, watch out for more than just seashells, because nature's surprises aren't always snail pace. Sometimes they're downright jaw-clamping or biting. Number 5. Scientists' last experiment. Back in the old days of 1957, where finding out what kind of snake you saw wasn't as easy as looking it up on Google, there was a man named Carl P. Schmidt. You could say he was the Indiana Jones of snakes. But instead of a whip, he had a magnifying glass and a huge curiosity for knowledge. Little did he know, he was about to be the main character in his own scary story, right in the middle of Chicago. Wearing his trusty lab coat, Carl faced off with a mysterious green serpent in his laboratory. He looked closely through his glasses under the dim glow of a lamp. Just when he was about to figure out the mystery of the snake, bam! The snake struck, delivering a plot twist sharper than its fangs. Carl's magnifying glass hit the ground, his face turned pale as the snake's poison started doing its dangerous work. But panic? Not our Carl. Discovering he'd been bitten by a boomslang, a snake with venom so rare that the antidote might as well have been on Mars, he chose science over survival. Rather than racing for help, he embraced his fate like a Nobel Prize nominee, turning his final hours into a live experiment. There he was, turning ghostly white, but still jotting down notes like he was reviewing a fine wine. Now I'm bleeding from everywhere. Fascinating. Carl probably thought, well, this isn't exactly what I planned for today. His body became a living, bleeding testament to science. Bleeding from his lungs? Yep. His eyes too? You bet. But Carl? He just kept writing, his pen mightier than the snake's fangs. As his final moments approached, Carl, with a scientist's resolve, scribbled his last memo. Facing death by snake. These were his final words, a testament to his dedication and courage to the very end. If that's not hardcore, I don't know what is. So here's to Carl P. Schmidt, the man who asked, what does snake venom really do? And found out firsthand, leaving us a tale that's both terrifying and amazing. Number 4. Catastrophe at Cougar Bluff. On February 12, 2004, Southern Illinois witnessed a tale that would make feline folklore history. In the serene setting of Cougar Bluff, a wildlife preserve owned by Al LaBelle and his wife Kathy, a routine day spiraled into chaos, starring their very own Lion King Simba in a lead role that no one saw coming. Now on this fateful day, Al, armed with nothing but a bucket and broom, started this interior design cleaning mission solo, with Kathy away. The routine was simple: move Simba to his shift pen and get cleaning done. But life's a bit more thrilling when you accidentally leave the door ajar, especially with a lion in the mix. As the lion whisperer ventured into Simba's den, he probably thought of the surprise he'd give Kathy. Little did he know, Simba had a different kind of surprise in mind. Kathy's gonna love this. Oh, I have a surprise of my own. Just wait until I add some color here. Let me get some paint. Oh, I prefer red. Allow me. Then disaster struck. Simba, perhaps not a fan of Al's interior design ideas, launched an attack. A swipe here, a pounce there, and Al's makeover plans turned into a fight for survival. The encounter escalated quickly, with Simba showcasing his dominance not just with a single swipe, but with a full-on assault that included a devastating neck snap and a fatal bite. Who knew home improvement could be so dangerous, you might ask? Had Al waited for Kathy, perhaps this tale would have a different ending. But instead, Kathy returned not to a newly decorated den, but to a nightmare scenario. Simba unleashed, the preserve in chaos, and Al tragically beyond help. The aftermath saw law enforcement stepping in, resulting in Simba's sad but necessary takedown to restore order. Al's vision for a clean den ended with a tragic twist, reminding us of the unpredictability of even the most familiar beasts you had raised since their infancy. So next time you're thinking about updating your room, maybe leave the lions out of it, and always double check those locks. Number 3. Zookeeper's Last Stand. In the serene setting of Sweden's Kolmården Wildlife Park, a project intended for warm, fuzzy moments with wolves transformed into a chilling tale of nature's unpredictability. On June 17, 2012, the park was quieter than normal, setting the stage for an eerie drama. Carolina, a dedicated 30-year-old zookeeper, ventured into the wolf enclosure, confident in her bond with these creatures she'd known since their puppy days. Expecting a routine check, she walked in, only to find the wolves weren't in the mood for cuddles. The wolves, keen observers of human unease, could tell something was off and didn't come up wagging their tails like they usually do. Instead, they watched her carefully, showing they were unsure. This wasn't the friendly hello Carolina was hoping for. Hey guys, miss me?
Is it just me, or does takeout sound good right about now?
Funny, I was just thinking I could go for a snack.
Carolina, now feeling nervous, desperately hoped she could distract them. Any chance one of you fetched a steak instead? But it was too late. Vilka, seizing the moment to assert his dominance, lunged at Carolina. Her rain gear saved her from the first attack, but it was the beginning of an all-out siege. Carolina tried to run for her safety, but she was no match for not just one, but 8 grown male wolves. Cornered and outnumbered, her struggle was brave but hopeless. Did she ever imagine her beloved wolves turning into her worst nightmare? The serene park echoed with a chilling symphony of growls and cries. The horror unfolded fully when Ida Lundqvist, a fellow worker, discovered a heart-wrenching scene by a fence. At first glance, the scattered remains were unrecognizable, but the sight of Carolina's arm still wearing her watch unveiled the grim reality. When the police came to figure out what had happened, they recovered Carolina's remains along with her bitten-up phone, a broken nameplate, and her trusty pencil. And in the aftermath, the Close Contact Wolves Project, which was all about people and wolves being friends, ended up showing just how wild nature can really be. Number 2. Fatal Loyalty. In the year 2017, the story of Bethany Lynn Stevens took a tragic turn that left a small community in Goochland, Virginia reeling. Bethany, a vibrant 22-year-old who loved pit bulls a lot, believed firmly in the goodness of her furry companions. Despite her father's warnings, she'd always say, "It's all how you raise them." But one fateful day, her 2 pit bulls decided to take matters into their own paws, flipping the script on what it means to be well raised. Could loyalty have a dark side? Spoiler alert, it's not a heartwarming tale. Bethany set out for what was supposed to be a peaceful walk in the woods, hoping to showcase the gentle side of her pit bulls. However, suddenly her dogs showed a side that she never saw coming. Out of nowhere, the dogs attacked, turning a serene woodland path into a scene of horror. Who could have seen this coming? Bethany fought hard, but the betrayal was too much. The attack too strong. Forget the hand that fed them, they went straight for the face, throat, and anything else that caught their fancy. Despite her desperate efforts, she was overpowered. Her dreams in life brutally ended by the very jaws that she had sought to defend. Then came the heart-stopping discovery by her dad. "Bethany, time for dinner." Oh no, what happened here? I guess we misunderstood. Play dead. Did someone say dinner? Imagine the gut-wrenching shock of finding a loved one in such a state. The police came quickly, who, with heavy hearts and euthanasia needles, put an end to the nightmare, retrieving what remained of Bethany. In the aftermath, her family bravely decided to release the autopsy findings, a painful but necessary warning about the unpredictability lurking within even the most beloved pets. So before you swear by the docile nature of any creature, remember this grim tale. Perhaps a goldfish, with its serene swim and silent gaze, might just be the safer companion. Number 1. Alaskan Dream turns deadly. In 2003, Timothy Treadwell, the self-proclaimed bear whisperer, found out the hard way that grizzlies didn't always stick to the script. Merging Disney dreams with a Tarantino twist, his Alaskan fairy tale took a dive straight into a nightmare. For 13 summers, Timothy treated Katmai National Park as his personal stage, hanging out with the grizzlies as if they were old pals from college. Armed with nothing but a smile and a bold streak of optimism, he dismissed the very notion of danger. After all, who needs bear spray when you've got charm, right? Thinking he was the bear world's Dr. Dolittle, Timothy overlooked one important detail. Bears don't follow scripts. Fast forward to October 5th, 2003, Timothy and his girlfriend Amy were about to close the chapter on this summer's bear escapades when they stumbled upon a bear that didn't get the friendly memo. To Timothy, a bear acting out was just another day in paradise. But fate had a surprise for them. As Amy started recording, Timothy walked up to the bear as if they were old friends, looking to have a peaceful talk. Easy, buddy. Just saying hi. Oh, no need for the drama. We're all friends here. Alright, message received. We'll admire from afar.
Or maybe not.
In a tragic twist, Timothy and Amy were mauled to their untimely demise, just hours away from their seaplane ride home. Talk about missing the flight of a lifetime. Later, the air taxi pilot, hoping to see them waving, was met with silence, with a mean-looking bear center stage among horrifying human remains. What was left? Park rangers found a ruined tent, Timothy's disfigured head, part of his spine, fingers, and arms still wearing a watch, and other gruesome remains. No eyewitnesses, but their camera captured the chilling audio of their final moments, minus the visuals. It seems even in their last act, Timothy and Amy were dedicated to their craft. If only they'd remembered to remove the lens cap. So next time you think cuddling a bear sounds like a good idea, remember Timothy's tale. Maybe it's safer to embrace a stuffed one from the safety of your couch. Better yet, let the wild stay wild, where the bears are just bears, and humans, well, we're just visitors.